Hey folks, it's Chris Dyer here at Reborn Martial Arts in Springfield, Virginia. Today we are continuing on with our old school boxing pugilism through time series. Today we're actually taking a trip back in time. We're going to go back a few years from what we've been doing in our chronological look at old school boxing. And we're going to be looking at Jack Broughton, who he was, and the rules that he invented for boxing and how they shaped the stuff that we've been looking at in this series. Stay tuned. All right, who was Jack Broughton? Jack Broughton was born 1704, died 1789, and during his age, he was the top heavyweight boxer of the era. He had won a number of prize fights, some really big name people were betting on him. He was the for boxing at the time. But in February 1741, one of the people that he was boxing against was George the Coachman Stevenson. They got into this really intense boxing match, and Broughton ended up being the winner of the match, but 2 days later, Stevenson was dead. After some complications from some of the impact that happened during the match, Stevenson, brain trauma and everything else, passed away. So this obviously stuck with Jack Broughton for a number of years. He ends up retiring from boxing and opens his own theater where he's doing boxing exhibitions. They're doing fencing matches. There's a lot of really interesting shows that are happening at his place. He's there as not only the owner, the proprietor of the location, but he's also setting up these matches, and he's also making sure that things don't go out of hand. But clearly the trauma from having killed a man in a boxing match stuck with him, and he ends up creating some rules, Broughton's rules, the 7 rules of boxing, that became the first method for regulating boxing matches. He also comes up with what are called mufflers, the first boxing gloves of the age, so leather-wrapped hands. So he comes up with a number of different ways of protecting athletes as they're doing these exhibitions. And we're going to take a look at those 7 rules, how they influence the age, and some of the other stuff that we've been looking at, not only as boxing for sport, but also for self-defense and not in an exhibition arena. Okay, so let's talk about those 7 rules. So the first one is the center of the ring is going to be a yard square. So this is kind of what most of the rules revolve around, this center piece. So the very first rule is after the set 2, the opponents are supposed to come to the square, face off with each other into this position. So as soon as the ref says go, basically, both fighters come to the center, square up from this spot, and this is where they begin from. So that's rule number 1. The second one is if an opponent or your opponent is down, they have 30 seconds to get back to this spot. So what ends up happening if they get knocked down, if they get thrown down, because yes, throwing is valid in this time period. If they get thrown down, if they just stumble or whatever, they have 30 seconds, so they can go back to the ropes. They have 30 seconds to get back here, assisted by their seconds or not. They have 30 seconds to get back to this spot, or they're forfeit, they lose. The next rule, number 3, is that nobody else is allowed in the ring except for the principals, who are the 2 fighters, their seconds, who can assist them getting back to this spot. So if you're really got a blinder or something as you're doing your match and you're having a hard time, your assistants can help you get back to where you need to be in that 30 seconds, and Mr. Broughton himself. So he was kind of the umpire, the ref, and in his matches at the time. The next one, number 4, is you're only beaten if you can't come back to your square. So if you can't make it back here in 30 seconds, you're beaten. If your seconds, so your corners basically, if they say you're out, then you're beaten. And there's also another part of this rule is the seconds, your guys in your corner are not allowed to interfere with the other participants. So you're not allowed to interfere with your opponent. You can't, encourage them to get out. They can't say anything to them. Number 5, in buy battles, which means if we're competing for a prize, if there's money involved, at the end of the match, the winner comes to the ring, or the center of the ring, and they get 2/3 of whatever the prize money is. So this is actually a really interesting one. Why do they have this like in front of everybody giving out the money? And it comes down to, was a bribe going out, right? So if the money is obviously being handed to this person, everybody knows, you know, what's going on. Make sure that nothing nefarious is going on in each of these matches. All right, the next one, number 6, each of the principals, so the 2 fighters, they get to choose one person from the crowd as an umpire. Those 2 umpires get to choose or basically arbitrate any sort of disputes that go on. If they're unable to figure out between the 2 of them a just verdict basically on whatever issue might come up, they can choose another person, a 3rd person from whoever's there as kind of the arbitrator. And finally, number 7, and this was the biggie and probably why we end up having these rules, is no striking after person is down. So a down person either knocked out, trips, or ends up falling down or taking a knee. You're not allowed to do any sort of striking. We know that this is actually what was the final literal death nail in Stevenson's coffin was Broughton during their match. First he was choking him out, and then they got back up. Stevenson was down, I think it was took a knee or was on the ground, and he just hit him while he was down, and we know that that's what was the final blow that ended up ending Stevenson's life. So number 7 is if a person is down, you're not allowed to continue beating them, which is interesting. In the time period, it wasn't until much, much later, one of the matches with Jack Dempsey, so we're talking many, many years later, that the contestants were not allowed to stand over your person. So you could actually stand over them, wait for them to get up, and continue to pound them once they got back to the center. But it wasn't until much, much later that you actually had to go back to your corner. So that's actually a later addition in the rule sets. So the rules will change after a number of years, but for right now, Broughton's rule set is kind of the go-to for boxing throughout the age, and it's going to last for a very, very long time until new rules are introduced later on. And we'll look at those when we get to them. But how does this affect what we've been working on or what we've been talking about? Well, we know that the people that are coming up with the methods and the training manuals and whatnot that we've been studying so far, they were, for the most part, prize fighters. So they were bound by these rules. So these come, you know, pretty early from one of the sources that we've been working on. They were competing under these rules if they were competing, and this is the important thing, these were not universal rules. If they were competing in Broughton's arenas, they were following these rules. Mr. Broughton was the arbitrator. He was the head ref, over his events, but if people were competing or going out into exhibition matches at different theaters, different carnivals, things like that, or on the road, then they weren't held to these rules. So you have a wide variety of methodologies, and you see this come up from time to time with different people. If you read some of the historical reports on these matches, that different people are doing different things. Some people are kickers, some people are throwers, some people are straight up boxers, and all of this stuff is going on at one time. It's very much like you would imagine mixed martial arts competition today. We're not all following by the same rules. Everybody's playing by different skill sets and different things going on. So it's actually really, really fascinating to see this little nugget of history. The Broughton rules obviously hugely important, going from not only his time period, but what we see today. All right, guys, I hope you enjoy it. Next video, we'll be back in our chronological look at all things old school boxing. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Remember to click the like button, put a comment below, let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you next time.